Freed, I think the interesting thing about these events is twofold. Number one, it's for the players. And if it ever stops being for the players, the events won't work, right? When you're talking about an event like PGF, the best of the best. Even take out the All-American games, which are genius. They're so much fun. So it's for the players and their families. And then the other part of it is it's for the coaches at the next level. And when you're talking about softball, you're not talking about pros because that comes through college. It's a gathering of college coaches, so recruiting is talked about so much. I think it serves as a bit of a convention, if you will. Okay, you understand that? A convention of college coaches at all levels. Like you could have an NAIA coach that stops by, later on having a cocktail with a Division I coach, a high-level coach. I love the convention of coaches concept of PGF. Make sense?
Absolutely. And I think the coaches love that also. So it just gives them an excuse, these great athletes playing, to come out and be with one another, to congratulate each other on seasons, to learn a little bit about, hey, what went well for you this season? What would you do differently? I saw that you picked up so-and-so. Or there's just so much camaraderie between coaches. I love seeing that. And I've been watching it all week long. I've been out at the fields and just seeing them interact, and it's fun. I think that's a big reason why they come out here.
We sent out an all call for some coaches, and we're hoping to have at least one and maybe a player stop by soon. I actually know that they're coming soon, but when that occurs, I think the interesting thing I want to pick their brains about is advice they have for athletes, because you know who's going to consume this. The parents first. I mean, parents are consuming, since I'm much closer or older than the age of the parents that are watching this. But I also think it's awesome if you can get a raw answer from a coach or a player. What advice do you have for me to get your attention and to stay in line on that college path? But I want raw answers. I mean, the real answers. I think a lot of coaches are doing that more and more. They're telling the truth to the athletes on how the sausage is made in recruiting.
Well, absolutely. Well, you want the athlete to find the right fit also. So the college coaches want that, the parents want that, the athlete wants that, the travel coach wants that, everybody wants that. So you want an authentic and real answer. And these coaches at the high level especially understand that if I'm going to get an athlete and understand they can fit into my program right away, I need to know who I'm getting, because this is a long-term deal. So I think that's super important.
So the tired question that everyone asks, but it bears asking again, is how did COVID change all this? And I think it just evolved it. I don't think we talk anymore about a pandemic, and we talk anymore about practicing with masks. I just think the world evolved, but I think recruiting evolved. I think video is everything now. Much like you could take this, if you wanted to send in to be an analyst on ESPN here coming soon, you could take this kind of content, say, this is what I do. The athletes can do the same thing. Probably more so than they could have in 2019, right?
Yeah, they're just more accessible. And I think it's available for everybody. So you can really be seen by anybody if you put some work in. And before it was the college coaches have to go to these tournaments, find the athletes, and there's hundreds of teams. But now you can easily shoot off a video, use your phone, jump on social media. There's so many different ways to get yourself seen and looked at. And I think that's one of the benefits, and something that we've really found through these last couple of years with technology, and kind of a silver lining that's come out of COVID.
Yeah, it certainly is. And for you and I think it's been more than a decade that we've called this event, right? And we started calling like one game, then it was one weekend, then it became 2 weekends, then there were then there was one All-American game, then 2 beautiful All-American games. Is there a favorite thing for you, as we crazily go back and forth between these games? Run to the restroom, wash up, grab a bite to eat, then it's another game, then it's another. Is there a favorite moment that you visually take in between calling the games? And I don't necessarily always mean the players, but maybe it is. What kind of sticks with you every year when you do this event?
I think in between games, seeing the families flood in and set up their umbrellas and just chatter amongst each other, and just excited to be there, to watch the athletes walk in and up the ramp and down to go onto the field, and just to see what their look for the first time when they do step out on the field like that. So a few of the things, and somebody who's been here quite a bit.
Yeah, recruiting. So
our friends are here.
Patty, I got to ask you, like, when you go and you're able to still be not the killer or legendary coach who's highly decorated and has earned it, still the simple softball person, and I'm guessing that's still part of who you are inside. But when you walk around these tournaments and you see the optimistic things, the good things about your sport, and maybe it's a younger person's tournament, but you're there and you're watching, you're recruiting, but then you kind of are able to hide as much as you're able to. What do you love most about events like this? Not being the recruiter, but still being just the softball person.
Energy. There's just energy. I think what makes our game fun, as irritating as they can be sometimes, are the cheers. And these guys have started cheering since they're 4 years old. And they're still cheering when they're 24 years old. So the noise factor gets you engaged and gets them excited, and it just kind of spreads all over the field. So I like to sit back and just watch the excitement, the energy. And what's really kind of interesting is watching. You can see that these athletes are simulating what they see at the World Series through celebrations, through the "I got your back," to stomping on home plate, to whatever it is. So you can see that they're watching us and they're bringing it into their game. So it's fun. It's fun to sit back and just watch the energy.
It's got to be interesting for you because you're in that line of sight. You are in the eyeballs of thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of young women, and their moms and their dads and their stepmoms and stepdads who watched what you did. Now, you're going to get a chance to reemerge with them. You're going to get a chance to kind of, be a part of coaching All-Americans and seeing the youth space again. You probably didn't have a lot of time to do that when you were playing every day, playing for her. What are you excited to see? Because you're not a kid anymore. Do you still feel like a kid, and what are you excited to see?
I still do feel like a kid just because I just left Oklahoma. But I definitely feel like I'm going out into the world very prepared. But as far as what I'm looking forward to, I'm just excited to see how much the girls have grown and how different the game is now from when I was in their same shoes, playing on the same field as well. I remember playing in that game, and I had long hair, and I hit a double, my first at-bat, off a changeup, off Megan Bobian. That's right.
That's a vivid memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, we remember.
But I'm just excited to see just how much the game has grown and how much more athletic these girls have gotten, and just anything I can give them to help make their game better, or even me learning from them is what I'm most excited for.
So what would you tell them? Like, what kind of advice? Because you're going to be surrounded by these athletes. They're going to want to know about your stance and what you look for and everything that they see, the bombs, but there's so much more to you to be able to do what you did. So what piece of advice maybe would you give these athletes when you're around them that they wouldn't even think to ask for?
Honestly, I don't even think I'm most looking forward to giving them softball advice, but more so just life advice and the things that I've learned through softball, and what Coach Gasso has taught me through softball goes far beyond softball ever will. So I think I'm most looking forward to giving them that heads up as to, hey, this is coming. It's going to be hard, but you're going to come out 10 times better than you ever thought. So I'm most excited for just what they can learn off of the field through softball.
I think what I admire most about the program, Coach, is you can get there and you can win championships and you kind of see the ebbs and flows, but you've been able to get up there and stay there, and the program stays the course. And it's not easy, right, to play at that level and to play for somebody who has such high expectations, but you stay the course. Your team's got a great perspective on the game, which even in talking to your competition, people want to hate you, but they can't because you're producing such wonderful young women. I don't know how to phrase the question, but how do you stay that course? Because it gets tough, but I mean, obviously you're doing it right. You've been up there at that high level for as long as you have, and I don't see it dipping anytime soon.
You want me to give you the secret sauce?
Yes,
Is that what you're asking?
I want the secret sauce. Everybody does.
It's built in our program. So it's just, I think everybody talks about blue collar, and from my upbringing, I had a single mom raising 3 kids, and I had to learn how to do things on my own a lot. And it just got me working at Burger King and trying to find money to buy my own car and buy my own things, and shopping at Walmart, but making you think that I'm shopping at Dillard's, or what is it out here?
Macy's.
No, bigger.
JCPenney.
Nordstrom's. So you've been there.
I try not.
So it's just, I don't know. I've always had that mindset and that mentality, and I knew going into coaching that it's hard work. It's hard work. So it's accountability for me. I think they'll tell you that I'm not a screamer and a yeller and all of that. It's more of, it's not good enough, do it again. It's not good enough, it's not good enough. And I say that to them a lot. I think last year I kept telling them, on a scale from 1 to 10, you're living at a 6. It's not good enough. It's barely above average. But they're run ruling.
I was going to say,
doing those things, but it's still
what you guys were doing.
It's still below their capability, and they knew what I was talking about. And we just we grind. We start from the beginning, and we just kind of live in that world. So.
But is it dramatically, the standards themselves, Coach, the standards themselves, are they dramatically different from 95 when you started, when you came in, when you were having to move the beer league guys off the field that you were playing on, to now where you know Loves has partnered with you and you're changing the face of amateur diamond sports, period, baseball and softball. But are the standards that dramatically different? I know they're tried and true, and I know you've evolved. I know your older players call you soft. I think it's evolved. I think it's, but are the standards, Patty, dramatically different?
No, 100% the same. Well, why change when it's not broken? I mean, it's been kind of living. In 2000, our program really hit the map. We were playing against this young lady right here.
You're welcome.
Who was an absolute superstar. I mean, both pitchers were going back and forth. There were more change-ups thrown in that game than anything I've ever seen. But it was a battle, and that kind of got us on the map. And then, I don't know, it's just, once you get there and you know exactly what I'm talking about, it's like all you want is to go back and go back. It's just like a drug. You just want more, and so you just keep recruiting and fighting. But we haven't changed, and you said it right. If anything has changed, it was me kind of connecting more to this generation. And then, like you said, our older players are like, you let them get away with so much more now. And it's different. It's more relational. There's much more relationship. I think Jossie could attest to that, where we have good talks, and we talk about life a lot more. So back then, I think it was just really softball, and we got to win. And I think the understanding of it's just something that we are good at. We have much more to give in other parts of our life, and making sure that we have a better balance than just win at all costs.
So when you do attest to that, as she said you would, I'd love to know, like, it's easy for me to say standards, but that's pretty, 20,000 feet in the air. I want to drill down on that a little bit. You just walked from there and walked with pride and accomplishment. Is it as simple as, for you or any of your teammates, how you wear your uniform, how you present yourself off the field, how you head out of the dugout all the way to whatever your position may be? Is it little things like that sometimes that you continually are checking yourself? Because if you do the small things well, maybe the big things happen too. Am I close?
Absolutely. We talk about how we need to focus on the little things and how the little things make the big things do what it's supposed to. But one thing that has stuck with me since the beginning of this year is how you do anything is how you do everything. And I remember we were having that talk in the classroom or something, and it was because we had chartered a flight and we left trash on the flight after and got ripped for it. And like, as we should, we're better than that.
We're on a charter flight.
Yeah.
A charter flight. That's big.
For softball.
Well, of course it's big.
Yeah.
You have to remind, it's big for anybody.
Big for us.
And then after that had happened, just me being the senior, I was like, God, really, guys? Like, come on. We finally get to charter. We had this really good game against Kentucky, and then it's all for nothing because we're getting drilled at for goldfish wrappers and Rice Krispies. Like, come on. But after that, I kind of just took it into everything, and just like how you go about life, how you go about softball, how you go about school, how you do anything is literally how you do everything. So that being said, just Coach Gasso teaching us how to be a woman about things, how to go about things the right way, how to dress, we did an etiquette class too, like how to know which utensils to use, how to dress business attire. So I feel very confident going into the real world, I would say.
And you're being asked, though, to be essentially older than when we were playing. So I feel like my experience was very softball life. It was very compartmentalized, whereas now you're asked to be everything all the time. And so you have to find that balance. The NIL, just the different things that you're asked to excel in the classroom, win national championships. You're just asked to do more. So that relational piece is really important, right? Because you have to keep a check on these athletes with the social media and everything going on. Was that easy, for you, Jocelyn, to open up and to talk about, with Coach? And I'm asking this more just so others can hear that does need to go on, but for you to reach out to your coach, because it's not always comfortable for an athlete to be able to reach out. I wasn't comfortable. My coach was amazing, but it's difficult sometimes to reach out and ask for help or ask for advice off the field. Was that a learning process for you with Coach, or did it feel like it came pretty naturally?
Yeah, I feel like it was definitely a learning process for sure. I came in and was just kind of there, really. I feel like we didn't really talk often. It was just like softball mostly. And then sophomore year was when we really bumped
Yeah, we talked. And then we talked.
a lot. But
Hold on, expound just a little bit on that.
Oh.
I'm not going to let you just get
Because
away with
freshman
that.
year sometimes is just like bouquets, and right? Like you're happy to be there, everyone's happy to be there. And then
I
sophomore
would
year is
say,
hard.
Yeah, like freshman year. So Jossie, obviously from Hawaii, she played for Mike Stith, who is a pusher. So she came to us, and I think she handled it well. She, to me, was still very raw, so we had to keep pushing her. But she had a phenomenal freshman year, especially offensively. Her sophomore year, it was now it's like chasing numbers. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't fun for her anymore, and I'll let you take it from there. That's the sophomore year was a pretty transitional year.
yeah, so after just keep trying to I need to match these numbers. I need to do what I did last year. I need to do this. I need to do that. Kind of got to my breaking point, and Coach Gasso, after the Baylor series, you guys were going to Kansas after that. And she sat me down and she was like, hey, you're going to take this week off. Don't come to practice. Don't go to weights. Still go to class though. And then just do what you have to do to get your mind off of softball, because it's consuming you, and softball is eating you alive basically. And fought her on it. I was like, all I need is more reps, because that's always what I've known is if I'm doing bad, just give me more. And during that week, I really reflected on if softball was really something that I wanted to do. I was on the breaking point, quitting point. I wasn't enjoying softball. I was a horrible teammate. No one really wanted to be around me, and everyone was kind of walking on eggshells with what to say and stuff. And when you get softball taken away from you, and just the friendships taken away from you, it really makes you take a step back. Dang, why am I putting all this pressure on me? Because I'm losing out on all my friends. I'm losing out on their successes. I'm losing out on the team doing what the team is doing, and just missing being in that environment. So came back and was right back in the lineup. And ever since that experience, I've never taken softball for granted, ever. And now I'm just kind of enjoying it, living the life.
As you're talking about that, I'm also thinking back to a conversation that we had, I think it was during COVID or shortly coming out of COVID, where you were deciding to come back, and just the pressure of chasing the numbers. But it felt different talking to you. It wasn't really, you weren't putting the pressure on your numbers, everybody else was. So then that's a whole different thing, right? Like everyone wants to see you break the record and they're pushing, but you, in our conversation, you had a very good, calm perspective, and you had talked about the reps, and I think you said, I don't need all those reps. It seemed like during that process you had kind of matured and put the game where it belonged, which is it's a game and it's fun. And you had a phenomenal year. So that was exciting. And I mean, I just enjoyed watching you come out that last year and give everybody what they wanted. But mostly it was just because you were just such a good role model and leader of the game.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
The failures or successes, are you better from, because your successes are amazing. When you get on 60% of the time, you're good. I mean, that you're not failing much. And, it's the old adage of, the 300 batting average, all the failures. But do you feel like you've learned more from your successes throughout your, all your at-bats at the college level, now at the pro level, or your failures? Which do you learn most from?
Definitely my failures, for sure. I've learned with my successes that I don't really like to be in the spotlight, and sometimes it's hard to live with that, like having to always like be that role model, and you never know who's watching, you never know whose video camera's out, and having to sign a whole bunch of autographs after and take a bunch of pictures. It's kind of a lot on you. So I would say I learn more from my failures just because I can like deal with it more in private than my successes out in public, because everyone knows about the successes, but no one ever knows about your failures.
It's interesting. The successes pay the bills.
Yeah.
The failures are what develop you as a human and a softball player, right? Oh, that's very cool. If we have you here, everyone's going to yell at us if I really don't ask you to give me the most honest and blunt answer you can give me on what advice you have for good 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old softball players on what you good coaches are looking for. And I mean a good coach at the JUCO, D2, NAI, Division I level. And it's all different. I understand that. But if you were to give some advice to the prospective player, let's pretend she was 15, what advice would you have? What advice would you have for players? Because I want to play at your level. Well, Coach, what do I need to do when you're coming to watch me play?
It's funny. That's why I'm dressed like this, is because I just came from the field and I'm watching. I want to feel like you make me enjoy watching you play. So what does that look like? To me, hustle, teammate, real inspiration or real energy or real excitement versus doing it just, some people just say things just to be heard. So there's got to be something behind you that makes me go, okay, you really like, this is fun to watch. So what is that? It's got to be real. And a lot of times it's just going through the motions, because I think sometimes they play so much that they don't even know what score, who we're playing. They don't even care. They don't know. I want to know that it means something, that you will lay out for a ball because it is going to keep the tying run off of second base, or whatever the case is, that you're going to really put yourself out there for your team, that you will work to execute a sacrifice bunt and be excited that somebody maybe did that to get you to second or what have you. But I mean, I'm just going to be honest. You said be honest.
Please.
I'm honest.
No one listens if you're not.
Okay. Sometimes they. Sometimes I just get bored. I get bored watching. And I think they get bored playing because there's so many games that are being played. So, I don't know. I'm watching players. I'm like, you just don't have it for me. You just aren't showing me it. And you're thinking, well, I'm not getting any balls on defense. What do you mean? You're just going to be a gamer. You're going to be a baller. You're just going to be a gamer. The way you walk, the way you move, the way you look, the way you talk to your pitcher. I watch it all. I watch so much more of you standing around, because you think about how much do we stand around in our sport. I see you hit 3 times. You might walk. This is true today. I watched a hitter walk twice and get hit by a pitch. So how am I supposed to evaluate that? I just watch everything else that she's doing. And if you are just all in, you got to just be all in instead of that, oh God, this is so boring. I'm so hot. Put my glove on top of my head and just being a knucklehead is just not working for me. So I'm in that space where like, I got to make a decision by what I'm seeing. I'm seeing you walk twice and get hit by a pitch, and I got to make a decision that's a $250,000 offer for you. So how am I'm just taking notes on watching you in what you're doing in the dugout. I watch you when the game is over and how you go up to your parents. Are your parents taking your bags? Honey, I got it. Honey, I got you. Here's your Gatorade, honey. I'm going to carry your bags. Or are you, I'm watching the kind of person that you are if I can't see what it looks like as a player on the field.
My dad used to make me drag my bag in one hand and pull the wagon with the tent in the other. And his chair.
And look at what happened.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. So it's every coach is different, but I could tell you not every player could play at Oklahoma. So in order to play at Oklahoma, I need to make sure that I'm giving you a fair chance. And that's just watching how you work and how you move. And I look at your body. Is it strong? Can it get stronger? A lot of it is just creating like what I think could happen, how it might play itself out, because they're still relatively young to know. So
I think that's such good advice, especially coming from you, because you tell the athletes, I think they're communicated to about everything you're talking about, but it's a lot of the empty talk and empty emotions. And I don't know what the answer to that is. I think that's, how do we get these athletes to be more passionate during the games? Is it too many games? I know they're tired this week, but they're trying to generate the energy because it's the national championship, and everyone wants to go to Oklahoma. There's not room for everyone, and especially with the portal, you've got to be something really special coming out of high school, right, to be able to have an opportunity at a school like that. So it's nice to know for these athletes who want to be seen that all the things outside of that field really matter. And hearing it from you, I think they need to hear that.
100% does, yeah.
How do you combat that? So how do you combat that time where you're young? This is more for the young athlete, and you may trickle into boredom. I'm not saying you ever did, but it's so insightful what she just said to me, because that's, even if I'm not good enough, as let's say I didn't have your skill set, I'm still good enough to play in college, and I'm going to heed those words, even if I'm going to, again, a D2 program, some NAI, Auburn Montgomery, who went to the World Series this year, right? How do you combat the times where you may be drifting, you may not be focusing? How did you combat that?
I think it's just about like what you want out of your college experience, and I knew at a very young age what I wanted out of my college experience, and I also realized the amount of sacrifice that went into putting me in the position to play in PGF and to play for Mike Stith. My parents had to save up a lot of money, and now actually I'm able to like help them out, so it's actually insane to me that I can do that. But they had to save a lot of money for me to put me in the best positions, to have me face the best pitchers. And I knew that sacrifice was made. So it was just a sense of me to just play the game how it's supposed to be played. And my dad used to like get on me for not running a ball out or something. And even she did too. But it's just stuff like that, and not falling into the, oh, okay, like I just am gonna show up today and whatever, it's all good. I got my scholarship, it's all good. But I think it's just what you realize had gone into it, and like what it is you actually want out of your college experience. And for me, obviously I was committed to Cal. Heart just wasn't there no more, and I knew that I wanted to win a national championship in college. So decommitted, and I 100% believed that was the best thing for me to do. So had Coach Mike call and had a couple calls. They were my first visit, committed on no scholarship. So even more so, I was hungry for like, let me get on this field, let me prove myself. And I never really fell into boredom, I would say, at a young age, because I knew what my parents put into it and I knew what I wanted out of these college years. So I think it's just kids knowing what it is, what they want to do.
Paying attention.
Yeah.
Not taking things for granted either, right? I mean, we all could be guilty of it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard because as parents, we work really, really hard for our next generation to make it quote unquote a little easier, but we have to be careful. I love how your dad handled that and, you know, made you carry things. A couple of acronyms, initials I want to ask you about. So fill us in on relationships with initials. First up is the WPF. Tell me about it. Tell me about your relationship there, how you're enjoying it. You're a pro now. There's money. It's fun. Tell me about how it's going.
It really sunk into me when I got out there. My first pro game was in Kansas City, and I was just looking in the mirror and I had my uniform on and I was like, I'm really playing professional softball. And I never thought that I would even be in this position. Obviously, the Olympic team was something that I wanted to do, but then WPF and AU started coming along, and it was just all these opportunities for me. And yeah, I'm excited to be here, and it's only going to get better from here, just with even obviously there's the two teams now, but there's Oklahoma Sparks, and there's going to be, I'm sure, a lot more teams now with the addition of this extra team, and just how much more girls coming out of college can just have this opportunity to do that, because like sometimes you don't know what you're going to do after softball, and it's scary to think that. But now they kind of have this like leeway, like, hey, like you can come and do this while you figure out what it is that you actually want to do, because it's still pretty good money and you're playing softball for a little bit longer than you had thought. So I'm just excited to be here, and I think Lauren's done a really good job of representing us as women, and just kind of being that voice for us and what it is that we want and how we should be treated, and I feel very well taken care of.
That's a good answer. That's very cool. The other one is PGF. Those are the other three initials. So your former relationship there. Expound upon that. Help us understand it and what excites you about your relationship with PGF.
Yeah, it's just made me into the player I was. And I remember my first ever PGF experience. I was with SoCal Pumas, so I was playing on the 16s. With Gary. So yeah, I was playing with them and got my first PGF experience, just got my feet wet a little bit. And then I would always hit with Mike Stith up at STC, because we were staying at an apartment right there, and it was like a mile away. So we would, whenever we didn't have practice up in Thousand Oaks, we would just drive our car to a mile away, do EM, do a catching lesson, do a hitting lesson, and then go back home, eat, do it all over again the next day. But yeah, PGF has done a lot for me and has created a lot of really good opportunities, relationships. I've played with some of the best, and I've been in some of the best lineups. I've been in a lineup with Amanda Lorenz and Cindy Romero in the 1-2 spot, and me being in the 4 as a sophomore is insane to me. But PGF has done a lot for me and created a lot of really good memories, lots of heartbreak, but yeah, my PGF experience has been awesome. And I was driving down Beach Boulevard, and it was kind of giving me like nostalgia, just riding down with my dad, because we would always eat at that Chipotle across like Party City. Yep. We don't have Chipotle in Hawaii, so we ate as much as we could. Oh. But yeah, it was kind of giving me nostalgia, like, oh, like it just makes me like giddy and grinny, like happy to be back here. And I called my dad on the way up here, and I was like, hey, like, remember all these hard talks we would have and all these good talks we would have after games, before games. Yeah, it was 8 long summers, but every memory ran back, and it's nice to be back.
And Coach, I mean, just hearing Jocelyn talk about who she is now, and we haven't even talked about where you're going to be going, but just where you are and what you're doing to impact not just our softball community, but young women. Lauren Chamberlain, a part of the WPF, what she's been able to do. I ran into April Valdez a couple days ago. I mean, there's such a strong connection, and you're such a big part of so many of these young women's lives. It's got to be fun for you to see what they become after they leave your program, because they're just your heart and soul while you're there. But it's like a mom, you kind of push them off into the world and you watch them fly. But oh my goodness, like what a tremendous representation of your school.
Yeah, oh gosh. I could tell you it's so different now with Jossie and the players that are coming in the future because of NIL. And the fact that these guys are making money is a big deal. And I look at someone like if Jossie was a guy, Grace Lyons was a guy, they'd be having $40 million contracts and going in the first round. And then maybe one day that'll happen. But as of now, the fact that they're able to play and make money, but even in college, they're able to get these NIL deals and get compensated for their hard work is something I never thought. There's a lot of things in the last 5 years I never thought I'd see in my lifetime as a coach, and that's good. That's good stuff. So I'm very proud. Some of these guys are going out coaching, so the coaching tree, the vines are all over. But the fact that now they're out making money off of softball. I think Jenny Finch kind of started that whole thing, and so thankful for her, but that's kind of how the ball got rolling. It took a long time to get to where we are now, but they deserve it. It's been tremendous.
It's interesting talking with your players, a lot of them, and they're reading a lot of articles and a lot of undertones, Coach, about faith and how faith is, if that is a part of your journey as an athlete, through your family or through your own individual choices, where you find yourself as a person of faith, it seems to be a place where at your program you can be comfortable in your faith and you encourage one another through your faith. That's kind of what I read between the lines, but yet I don't have to read too deeply between the lines. Am I accurate there? 100%.
Yeah. So it's player driven, but as a faith-based person myself, I'm watching baptisms happening at the hotel pool. You want to talk about what life is about, and softball's not even involved. And you've got these players crying, and they're singing, and they're loving on each other. And I mean, it's life-changing. And it makes me understand what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And I know why I'm here. And it's helped facilitate, allow them to be who they are. This young lady is representing Hawaii like nobody's business. And she's got the Hawaiian flag draped around her like she just won the Olympics. But it's cool to see what they stand for. And faith is a very big part of this program and who they are, and really driven by Grace Lyons. And at the end of, I'll never forget this, at the end of this national championship, the players are holding up the trophy and the confetti's coming down. And normally you're going to hear, like, we are the I shouldn't be singing that, but you know the song, right?
Well done, though.
Thank you. They played their favorite Christian song that is played on the bus before every game. And they're just singing it to the top of their lungs. And I'm just bawling, like, watch, like, this is not happening. So it's been awesome.
Put softball in its proper place, right? Puts your successes, and you've had a ton, record setter, and the sport itself, that all puts it in its proper place, huh?
It does.
What was the song, by the way?
Is it Nobody?
Nobody but
Sing it.
Jesus.
I'm
Just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul.
Ever since you rescued me, you gave my heart a song to sing. I'm looking for the world to see. Nobody but Jesus.
Kind of got a
Jada Coleman always
country
like,
twang.
No, it does.
I remember.
There's a little
I remember seeing
Oklahoma
that.
wound through there. Well done.
Yeah,
Well done.
good.
I hit that note, huh?
That's really
You did
That
hit
was
it.
really good. You had a good
Really good.
voice.
You hit it
I
like
had to close my
a
eyes.
bell
I was
tie straight
shy.
pitch right down the middle. You hit it like one that came out of the pitcher's hand. Thought, no, why did I? Well, thank you guys. Thanks
Thank
for hanging
you.
out with us. We
Pleasure,
appreciate
yeah.
it. Yeah, God bless you guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Gonna be
Go find some more good
running
players
back to
out
the
there. Yeah, go
field,
find
looking
some
for the
more good players.
gritties.
Catch that 245-3.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get some pokey.
I thought you were going to Chipotle.
No.
What do you do
I'm
at Chipotle,
sick
by the
of
way?
Chipotle. But I haven't had pokey because I haven't been home. And like I'm not about to get pokey in Oklahoma.
What's poke?
Where do you go to
The
get
raw
poke
fish.
out
Fish
here?
bowl, basically.
I wanna
Fish
know.
The
bowl,
North Shore
raw fish bowl.
in Huntington.
Coach, no raw fish
Where in
bowl for you?
Huntington?
It's
Oh,
right by
downtown?
bonsai bowls.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You never got her to eat good raw fish?
No.
No,
no,
she won't.
Look at your eyes.
No.
I've gotten her to try a bunch of stuff though, but I'm not gonna bring raw fish to Oklahoma.
No, don't do that.